Hello and welcome to Credible Perspectives, Season 2, Episode 2. In this episode, we are going to discuss technology and taxation. Very interesting conversations, and we're joined by one, Caine Wanjau, who is a tech expert, who is pro startups and loves startups, who is currently the co-founder and CEO of Namiri Technologies, which is the house or the umbrella body of Digitax. He has also been with Trigger Foods and very many other interesting startups. So karibu Caine, and thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you. Pleasure to be on the show. I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's just start from the beginning. You love technology and you love startups.
Yes.
Why?
Good question. So technology, I wouldn't say it came by accident, because from a very young age, I was playing with toys, being very curious how they work. And then I started studying technology at the earliest opportunity. So when I was in high school, I actually really dove deep into technology and what it can do. And then that time we were doing it for 4. We were not yet in CBC. So yeah, when I did my my high school exam, my KCSE paper in computers, I realized actually something I want to do, because I was choosing between that and accounting.
Mm-hmm.
I actually initially branched into hardware, so I was more interested in like the physical side of things. But then when I entered the workforce, software and systems and basically doing projects for companies is where the opportunity was. So I focused more on the software side. So by skill and by training, I did both a combination of hardware and software. But then when I was now entering the workforce, it was more software based. Hardware had really not picked up. And yeah, I've been there ever since. So I initially had an IT consulting firm, which I ran for a few years. And then I started a company, which was, so my first startup was in 2013. Oh. Yeah, I was doing advertising in matatus. Yeah, so this was before smartphones, before, people's attention was fully fixed on their phones. Yeah. A very high percentage of passengers were still using feature phones. Mm-hmm. And so, to just get access to that captive audience, we installed screens. Okay. And those screens would show adverts. They were also capable of, knowing their location. Mm-hmm. So we'd use that to show geo-targeted advertisements. It was a kind of social network, because you could send a message and see it on the screen. Mm-hmm. So that was a very good experience. And then in 2015, as you mentioned, I joined Trigger Foods, spent 7.5 years there. And then from there, I transitioned to Digitax, which is what I'm doing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did Digitax come about?
Yeah, so the idea or the seed around Digitax was planted maybe, 13 or so years ago, when I started my career. Mm-hmm. So as I've just mentioned, I first had a consultancy. And I remember I did work for a company that asked me for a tax invoice. So they go, okay, where do I get one? So there was something known as ETRs. Not many people know about it today. It was phased out. But that's basically how most people generated a tax invoice. Okay. So I had to go buy one, get trained on one, figure out how it works. And then as I was doing this together with my accountant, I was telling her, I think we need to see how this can be improved. Yeah. But the thing about, invoicing is it's normally guided by law and what has been approved and the licensed solutions in the market. Mm-hmm. So at that time, it was mainly ETRs. So that was like my first thinking around, okay, how does this improve down the road? So in a fast forward, some years later, when I was at Twiga Foods, the system had then transitioned to something known as Teams. So Teams was essentially still a physical device, but it had an internet connection. So anytime you go, actually, and they're still there today. So, like, for example, anytime you go to a supermarket, and you get a receipt, you'll see a QR code at the bottom. So that QR code is essentially been generated by a Teams device, and that basically validates what the tax amount is, and that information is sent to KRA. So Teams was introduced, I believe, in 2017, and they rolled out that between 2017 and 2019. But then we had to use it at Twiga Foods, and when we had to get the device, configure it, and use it, I realized there's still an opportunity down the road to try think of something different. And then, fortuitously, just after I left Twiga, the policy around this changed, where the government now said, we're moving to a software-based approach. We're launching something called eTeams, and we'd like businesses to offer this service to other entities that may wish to be tax compliant. So there was this approach or model known as third-party integrators, which is now where we saw the opportunity.
Okay.
But then to be a third-party integrator, you first had to build your own system, get that system approved and licensed, and then offer that as a service to businesses. And hence, that's how Digitax was born. So 2023 was spent, building it out, getting it licensed. Then we entered the market in 2024. And then, of course, we've been expanding, which I know we'll touch on later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, it's really been, I'd say a 12-year journey, but I've really been focused on it the last 3 years. But it's something I always felt as an area that was a good opportunity for innovation and applying my technology skills.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite an interesting story.
Yeah.
Not many people can think like that. But I want you to give us sort of a comparison on taxation itself, like the environment then and now before tech came on board. Are things easier? Are things harder? Are things that different?
Yes.
How is it looking like?
It's really evolved. Before ETRs, and this one I was very young. What I've told and what I've seen is you'd buy a book, a serialized book, and you'd use it to basically write a tax invoice. Think of it like the cash book you see in shops. This one was given to you by the government, and this even preceded KRA. This was back in the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
And then in the early 2000s, when they started introducing technology, ETR being the first version of it. Now, one of the interesting things is when you think about compliance, there are two things to think about: the cost of compliance and also the cost of not being compliant. Yeah, because people tend to focus on the first and ignore the second. Yeah. So what you find is the way this has evolved is also tied to how many businesses can afford to be compliant. And that's why ETR is only really targeted at, high revenue taxpayers. So for example, to be ETR eligible, you had to do revenue of 5 million per annum and above because of the cost of device, because of the cost of compliance, and so on and so forth. And that was really the case for a very long time. But with eTeams, the matrix changed because with the cost of technology, really, really coming down, with access to technology, the rise of smartphones, being tax compliant was no longer a time-consuming effort and an expensive effort. So that's now why eTeams, if you notice, really expanded beyond just, large taxpayers or those who pay VAT to almost every category of tax. If you remember, there was this whole debate around farmers and mama mbogas and, everyone who needs to be tax compliant. But the real thinking around it was, this can be done on even a feature phone. Yeah. So why shouldn't everyone be tax compliant?
Yeah.
Of course, there are other considerations that go into it. For example, tax education, tax awareness, of course, the aspects of tax morale and how willing people are to transition. But the general principle is, with time, the cost of technology has come down. The ease of access to technology has improved for the vast majority of our population that are tax eligible.
Yeah.
And hence now the expansion of those who need to participate in terms of generating tax invoices. That's been like the general history up to now. Yeah.
You said something very interesting that I want us to expound on a bit.
Yeah.
There's two costs.
Yes.
Cost of being compliant,
yes.
Cost of not being compliant.
Absolutely.
What has your experience been? How have you seen this, especially the cost of not being compliant? Because the idea of this episode and this podcast is to tell people you need to be tax compliant because it benefits you in certain ways.
Yeah.
What ways are these?
Great. The way to think about not being compliant is, if, just use an example. If you're unwell and you get a prescription and you don't take the prescription and you become way more unwell, if you have to go back to the hospital, it's probably a much more expensive visit. Yes.
True.
And, you have to think of the cost of being compliant as, preventing something more significant or what's happening from a financial penalty standpoint. Just tying this to what I was explaining earlier in terms of the history and the cost of compliance and who needed to comply. A few things have happened. So the first thing is, with the introduction of e-TIMs or electronic invoicing more broadly, the laws have also changed to accommodate electronic invoicing. And they're very interesting provisions in the law, and they're also policy guidelines that Kerry have given. The most impactful and the most significant is, if you're a business and you wish to claim a tax-deductible expense, it needs to be an electronic invoice. So what does that mean? It means whatever revenue you make, or rather, whatever expense you need to claim, it must be backed by a tax invoice.
Okay.
So, let's unpack that and think through the impact. So if I'm trading with you and I'm selling you something, for you as a business owner, you need to claim that expense. So the first thing you'll do is ask me for a tax invoice, and then I'll give you the tax invoice. And then if I buy something from someone else, I want to claim that expense. And the last thing for a tax invoice. And you think through how that percolates across the economy. With time, everyone starts asking everyone else for a tax invoice. Yeah. Now, if you happen not to do it, or not all your expenses that need to have a tax invoice have them, when it comes to tax filing season, there'll basically be a difference between what you declare as your expenses and the expenses that can be verified against a tax invoice. And then that brings a question. Okay, you say your expenses are X, but based on documented evidence, and documented evidence has a tax invoice, the expenses are Y. Why the difference? If it's a government, what do you think they'll use as a basis of calculating your tax payable?
Documents.
Yes,
Evidence.
documents, evidence. So that's one way in which the cost of non-compliance starts showing itself.
Yeah.
And there's been additional efforts beyond just invoicing to streamline the process. So there's something now known as auto-population, where every month you find all the data already pre-filled.
Okay.
If it's not pre-filled, you have to start explaining why it's not there, or you need to find why it's not there, or you need to figure out how you account for that expense. So the time, the effort, the potential exposure, with time, it's not really worth it. So when we talk about the cost of non-compliance, there are many ways this could impact you. And of course, in some cases, there are penalties and fines for late filing or non-filing. So the cost of non-compliance may not bring itself out immediately. And, just as I was saying, when you don't take a prescription and, you become more unwell, it's a much more expensive venture. Same thing happens. So when people think about, being tax compliant or using technology for tax compliance, it's two things. How does technology streamline the process for me? But also, what is the impact if I don't do this well? And how will this bite me down the road? And this could manifest itself in other ways. So, if you need a tax clearance certificate and anomalies are detected, you may be told, okay, we need you to clarify 1, 2, 3, 4 things. And typically when you're asking for it, it's when you really need it. So it's a time-sensitive request. Those are, there are many more, but those are just a few to show how non-compliance can affect you.
Okay. Yeah. So enter Digitax.
Yes.
How is Digitax helping us be compliant?
Great. So Digitax is a software platform. And what we've done is we've tried to think through how does this work for businesses, individuals, and various stakeholders who need to be tax compliant. So, one of the principles around being tax compliant is you want to do it in the most seamless or straightforward or easy way, whichever applies to you. And so the question becomes, if I have a software or I have an ERP or I have a tool that I use to record my sales, how can I generate a tax invoice from that device without having to go to a secondary device to generate the tax invoice? So how do I streamline it and integrate it into my workflows and my processes? So that's the first approach we took. And so what we did is we built APIs, or for the non-techies on the call.
Thank you.
We basically built a way to integrate eTIMs into your system. So, if you're a shop or a business or an entity that already has an existing system, the first thing you do is you integrate into that system and basically streamline and automate the process of generating a tax compliant invoice. In addition to that, we have an online portal where you can go and generate your invoice. So if you're a consultant or someone who just issues invoices, every once in a while, you can go online and issue a tax invoice. Recently, we've also added products targeting SMEs and MSMEs. So if you have a POS or a PDQ, we can install and embed Digitax onto that platform. So if you're receiving a payment or someone is paying by card within that same device, you can also issue a tax invoice. We also have a mobile app. So if you go to the Play Store, you can download Digitax and then basically issue invoices from the comfort of your phone. Especially if you're an individual or someone who uses your phone as a primary business tool, you can be compliant right within your phone. But then we've also tried to think of this in terms of how would a business think about being tax compliant. So there are a few things to think about. One is the aspect of auditing, the aspect of visibility, the aspect of reconciliation, and also how is this going to work for me, especially if I need to manage or interact with many businesses at the same time. So a good example is auditors and accountants. For them specifically, because they're likely interacting with many businesses, either helping them with their accounting or audits, or even thinking through, how I manage many businesses that I support at the same time. The way we've designed Digitax enables you to create a single profile. And you can have as many businesses and entities under your profile. And these businesses can be shared with other users. So if you're a business that has many departments or many users that need access to the same information, our dashboard or the tools we have gives you that access. And then finally, we've made all those different systems fully interoperable. So if I'm using the integration, I can see that information on the dashboard. I can see that information on the phone. If I'm using the phone, the dashboard gives me visibility. And all those systems are able to talk to each other because it's the same underlying platform. So we've tried to target different market segments and just meet them at their point of need. And we're not done yet. We are still exploring and adding new ways to interact with Digitax.
Right.
Yeah.
So for the sake of our listeners and watchers, who are your people? Who are your target? Who's your target audience? Schools, companies? Who?
Great question. So our target market is, broadly speaking,
Mm-hmm.
anyone who needs to generate a tax invoice,
Okay.
which is essentially a large chunk of adult Kenyans.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're someone who's looking for an efficient tax solution,
Mm-hmm.
we would like to interact and talk and engage with you, and hopefully you become a user of our solutions.
Mm-hmm.
However, if I was to narrow it down in terms of where we've seen the most interest, it's three categories. For example, it's those who are looking for a seamless solution.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are looking for something that's very quick, very efficient, and the solution basically gets out of their way.
Yeah.
If you think about, let's take M-Pesa as an example. Not many people give too much around the mechanics or the processes that make M-Pesa efficient, which is a good thing. Because if I need to send you, I'll just send you and you'll receive it immediately.
Yeah.
And that is how a good product or solution works. It does what it needs to do and gets out of the way. So we aim to do the same as Digitax.
Okay.
The other thing in terms of our customers is, if you're a customer who wants quick, fast, reliable support, just because of the volume or the sensitivity of your business, those are people who tend to put a premium on the quality of the product or the service they're getting. So we've tried also to come up with various ways to, for example, give you enhanced support, priority support. We've also invested in tools to alert you if anything has gone wrong. Systems are systems. So, it's not that anything won't go wrong. Something will happen.
Yeah.
But the important thing is to have a mitigation strategy and to communicate effectively once something happens.
Okay. Yeah. Share with us a few success stories from Digitax, from where people were not compliant or are struggling with the whole invoicing and the whole tax regime to now using the platform and succeeding. And success in this case, maybe you should define success for us. Yeah.
Yeah. So initially, one of the areas where we saw very strong interest was for businesses that were thinking of being tax compliant for the first time. Now, remember when I was talking about ETRs and teams, it was really only targeted at VAT taxpayers. However, you have very large businesses that don't pay VAT. They're tax exempt. Yeah. So think of schools. When you pay school fees is not taxable. Medical services, those are not taxable. Insurance, it's not a taxable service. So these are businesses that one needed to be compliant, but were never within the whole tax automation up until the point of e-teams. So a lot of efforts and interest came from that specific segment. So essentially industries or areas of the economy where they didn't need to be they didn't need to have hardware, or they didn't need to be entities that have the device. And now they needed to be tax compliant because e-teams was targeting basically all tax types and all segments of the economy. So that was an early and successful area of interest. And we used that opportunity to really learn a lot about what it takes to offer a seamless solution. The good thing for us is we build our own software here, our engineers sit here, and so it's very easy to improve or to update the system based on a client request. The other area of interest was entities that needed to process a large volume of transactions. So the way we built our technology and our system is we could absorb hundreds of transactions per second and still guarantee reliability. So these are entities that we still serve, and these are entities that chose us because of the capacity and capability of our system. And then the other category where we saw early success is businesses that maybe didn't have a high volume of transactions, but were looking for a solution that was easy to use. They're also looking for a solution that could give them reports and analytics and insights. So those are capabilities we have within our dashboard. So those are some of the areas we really saw a lot of interest. And I mean, to date, we've continued to see interest in those areas. However, we also got a lot of inquiries and interest from the SME and MSME segment, and hence now the investment in mobile products. So part of the focus moving forward will be also targeting those market segments as well. Yeah.
It sounds interesting.
Yes.
Like a lot. You're doing quite a good job out here. For the tech people, I can't leave them out since that's your area of expertise.
Yes.
What technology are you using? I don't even know how to answer this question because I'm not a tech person, but you know what I'm asking.
Yes. Okay, I'll answer it in two ways. I'll talk about how we've built our system, but I'll also talk about how we've thought about the developer experience. So in terms of how we've built our system, we've actually taken time to think through how does this platform work for us for the next 5 to 10 years. So what we've done is we've built a technology stack that is able to scale with usage. That's the first thing. I don't want to go too much into like the software languages and all. But what I can say is the way we look at it is for those that are used to common and modern technologies, we use common modern standards. But we've also done it in such a way that you can also interact with it, no cost, no obligation. You can test for free. So we've built what's known as a sandbox or a test environment where people can sign up on Digitax for free. They can get credentials to start testing, integrate the system to ours, and basically make sure it's working before now having like a final conversation with us about actually going live. So for most developers or for most technology teams, one of the ways we try to differentiate ourselves is by making sure out of the box you understand how Digitax works for you. When we were doing the first version of Digitax, one of the guiding principles was how do we make it as easy and as fast as possible for someone to interact with our system. So we looked at the requirements from KRA, asked ourselves, okay, how do we simplify? What can we infer? What can we abstract? What can we calculate on behalf of the taxpayer? And then make sure that we give you the minimum set of requirements and then integrate based on that. So when it came to developer experience, we wanted to make it quick and fast. The second thing we wanted to do is to make it publicly available. So even as we speak, you can actually go online, check out our technical documentation, interact with it, test it, get comfortable. Our team will support you if you have any question during the integration phase. And then once you're ready, the next step is essentially just now talking to us about going live. But by that point, you already know exactly what's needed. And the process of, going from our test environment to our production environment is very, very straightforward. You just need to change the account you're accessing. So yeah, we've tried to make it as streamlined and as easy as possible. And because I have a technology background, it's an area I pay a lot of attention to. How do we build the best-in-class developer experience? How do you build the best-in-class technology solution? And the other thing I've also learned is a great technology product is not just about the software, but it's also the support you build around it. So, before using the software, during your familiarization and interaction with the software, and also after you've gone live. One thing about e-teams and electronic invoicing is it's a very time-sensitive operation. The reason is a lot of businesses are now requiring this as a document to get paid. So they tell you, okay, I'm ready to pay. Send me an e-teams invoice. and I'll sort you out. And I'm sure you've heard that.
Yes.
So if it doesn't work, or when you really need it, it's not reliable, you need to know exactly why you can't get it then, and what remedies are available to you. So those are some of the things we've tried to really focus on, making sure that reliability is there, that consistency in terms of experience is there, and for anyone who uses Digitax, that they have a consistent, seamless experience.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So you did what you did in Kenya.
Yes.
And then you decided this is not enough.
Yes.
Tell us more. Where are you? Why did you choose those countries?
Yes.
Are you planning to explore more?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, so Digitax is now Pan-African. Kenya is one of our markets. The market we expanded to after Kenya was Zambia. And then after Zambia, we went to Nigeria. And we're looking at a few more countries as we speak. Now, the context here is when we were researching and thinking about Digitax, we tried to look at this from an African perspective, what's happening across the continent. And from our research at that time, this is in 2020, late 2022, the way we saw the landscape is it was rapidly shifting towards e-invoicing. And we looked at what's known as e-invoicing mandates. What I mean by that is for every country is a tax invoice or an electronic invoice voluntary or mandatory. And of the 33 countries we researched, 19 had mandatory invoicing mandates. 14 had optional invoicing mandates. But that landscape has since changed. Many more countries now have mandatory invoicing mandates. Now, if you zoom out and research how this has been happening globally, the most successful area of the world as far as invoicing is concerned is Latin America. So Brazil, Colombia, Chile, these are countries that have been doing invoicing for a very long time and have very robust systems, laws, and processes. So we also looked at what's happening there. The other area this is happening very rapidly is Africa, of course. Europe is going the same direction. Middle East is in the process of transition to invoicing. And Southeast Asia is already well on the way in that respect. So it's a trend happening globally. And when we looked at it, we're like, yes, in Africa, governments have now woken up to the whole need and effort around the invoicing, and some have taken deliberate steps. So when we looked at which market we can go to next, Zambia was a next good alternative for a couple of reasons. One, they had a very similar approach to taxation in Kenya. They had very similar underlying systems that we could integrate with as far as the tax authority is concerned. Laws and policies and just harmonizing everything was very similar to Kenya, just that was happening 6 months later. So the natural second market for us was Zambia. So we launched in Zambia in August of last year. And then after that was now set up and running. We started looking at the third opportunity. And then Nigeria had just started on the same journey. Now, for a country or a jurisdiction to say it's e-invoicing ready, there are three key things. The first one is, the laws and enabling e-invoicing from a legal standpoint. And this could also be like the policies, the directives given by the tax authority and what that looks like. So that's the first step. The second is what is the readiness of the tax authority to embrace invoicing? Because a company like Digitax, what we do is we plug in or we integrate to the tax authority. So they avail a system for exchanging invoices. We then plug into it and then avail that to businesses. So the government or the tax authority must have also availed this infrastructure for us to integrate with. And then the third step is also the general awareness or market readiness around the invoicing. Now, this is dependent on a few things. This is dependent on mandates, obligations, how how much enforcement is the government willing to make, and then use that as a basis of pushing e-invoicing. So we look at those three things, and then that's what usually determines whether or not we go into a new market. Those are generally the building blocks or the steps to us being in those three countries, and even the countries coming after. The same factors apply.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the three that you have managed to hack, which was the most difficult to crack while we use the three criteria that you've given us?
The truth is it becomes easier with time, because Kenya is where we did a lot of learnings. What work, what doesn't work, what should we do from a technology standpoint, how do tax authorities think about certifying your system and licensing your system? And it's a fairly consistent experience in terms of what they look for.
Okay.
So the learnings we took from Kenya, we applied to Zambia, and we basically halved the time we needed to get ready. We then fine-tuned that and did the same in Nigeria. We further fine-tuned the time.
Okay.
And the new markets we're in, we want to optimize how long it takes from concept to readiness. So it's a function of just learning from one country, applying those to the next, applying those to the next. And then also, the good thing is governments and tax authorities in Africa are now starting to learn from each other and exchange notes on, what is best practice, what does it take to make sure this rolls out in the correct way. So those are some of the things we're thinking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Benefits. You've spoken about one, the authorities. So the tax authorities being government in this case, being ready, being aware, being open to this, versus the businesses as well being ready for e-invoicing, and embracing technology. Are there any systematic or systemic benefits that you've seen in adopting these e-invoicing platforms?
For businesses or for
both,
governments?
Actually.
Okay.
Both, yeah.
Yeah, so for governments, the reason for them is very straightforward. Would like more real-time visibility on tax receipts. Would like to automate the process of filing and paying for taxes. And the basis of that is the transactions that inform the reports or the amount of tax to pay. So those are the first things the governments want to achieve. Beyond that, they want a better understanding of the economy. How are goods moving, how are goods priced, how are goods being sold, to help inform economic policy. The other aspect of governments is, there's what's known as the tax gap, and that's a reality. And what typically happens is you'll do an analysis and say, we should be collecting X amount, and we currently collect Y. This tax gap, how do we address it or close it? And e-invoicing is one of the ways that governments have adopted. And then tied to that, of course, is the laws and policies and regulations around e-invoicing. Just making sure that it's a closed loop, and as many taxpayers as possible can participate in the system.
Okay.
So that's how a government would look at it. For a business, it's a few things. One is, because I know I have to pay tax, what's the easiest and best way to do it? How do I stay on the right side of the law as far as my taxes are concerned? The second is from a compliance standpoint. How do I use this to grow my business? Because the reality is, businesses will only trade with businesses that meet a certain threshold or level of compliance. And part of that compliance check is tax compliance. So you may be asked for, a tax certificate. You may be asked to confirm that you can generate a tax invoice. You may be asked to, show that your affairs are in order. And so if it's not something you've been thinking diligently about, or it's been a very onerous task to the point you don't always do it. It becomes very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So yes, those are some of the ways governments and business think about it.
Yeah.
However, what I'd like to add also is, with time, a business should look at the upside of this in terms of, how can I use this data to make better decisions, analytics, reports. How can I use this to also better plan for my tax obligations?
Yeah.
One of the things that's usually a challenge is like sticker shock, where you're like, oh, okay, this is my tax bill.
Yeah.
Why is it so high? And how did I not see this coming? But tools and systems that give you real-time and better visibility, it's actually much, much better to help you plan your tax outlays or your tax obligations, or even your tax credits. Because the reality is, if your expenses are more than your income, you do get some tax credits, but you may not know until, when you're actually paying for your tax. But if you knew of that beforehand, you can actually make other decisions around maybe your spending, your cash flows, as the case may be.
The previous episode, they called that tax health checks. So just basically like the analogy you used of being unwell, just checking that you're okay before you're shocked by the realities of
Absolutely.
life. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And let's look into the future. What's exciting? What's coming up? How is AI, especially seeing as we are in the age of AI and everything is around artificial intelligence? How is that looking for the environment that you're in?
Yeah, so in terms of the future, Digitax specifically, expansion, investing more in technology and products for our customer. But also AI is also an area we've been looking at. Now, well, someone once asked me, can AI pay your taxes? No, it can't. However, the reality about AI is way more useful with the more information and the more data it has. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, AI, or the way most people consume AI through chatbots and conversational AI, essentially just a mathematical operation going on at the back. It's a complex operation, but it's a mathematical operation, and this is all data driven. So the reason I bring that up is, for businesses who think about this carefully, one of the things you can start thinking about if you're fully compliant is, tax optimization strategies. Yeah. Based on these inflows and outflows, or where I'm buying from, where I'm selling to, are there areas to optimize my tax returns? Because many people may not even be aware of what, for example, tax reliefs they can get, how they basically stretch their shilling or their dollar or their naira or their kwacha, whatever the case may be. But AI can help you, give you suggestions on how this can work for you down the road. So that's one area. The second is, when someone thinks about the tax journey, Digitax handles the first step of it, which is transmitting of information. But there's filing, there's preparation of the filing, and there's paying for that tax return. There are tools that are helping streamline that process. And I think for the coming months and years, AI will really optimize how this is done. Basically removing the routine, constant, repetitive tasks. AI should be able to do that for you easily at some point. And then finally, when you think about tax invoice, a tax invoice is basically a representation of all your sales. The thing is, there are tools that can give you insights and analytics in terms of, how is a certain product how is a certain product working out? How is a certain product performing in the market? Which is fast moving, which is slow moving, which one should you think about more? So there's a lot you can do with this information. It's a regulatory requirement, but then that does not mean you have to think of it just in the context of I need to send this to KRA.
Yeah.
It's also asking, okay, what can this data do for me? And AI has a big role to play in that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting.
Yes.
I think congratulations on hacking the African market. Let's start there.
We keep pushing. Thanks.
Please do. And we'll like to have you back once you've done of the 19 countries that you had mentioned, like 10 or so. We come back and have a conversation on how that's going.
Yes, we'll be in any market we can be in.
Yeah.
The good thing is, for us, a lot of African governments and tax authorities are thinking of this the same way or in similar manners. What helps from a Kenyan standpoint is Kenya is relatively early to the e-invoicing space. And so many governments, many entities, many businesses are looking to the Kenyan experience. So there's a lot of opportunity for us as Kenyans to learn and share this knowledge.
Yeah.
I've attended several tax forums. I've now tax is where we play in as much we're still a tech business. And they're very keen to learn, what has worked, what has not worked, what should we be mindful of. And I think as our knowledge is shared across Africa, and anywhere we see African governments taking a keen interest, we'll definitely give it a good look.
Right.
Yeah.
Where can we find you if we're interested in talking to Digitax, talking to Caine? Where are you found?
Great. Caine personally, LinkedIn is where I usually do a lot of my interactions. But Digitax itself, online, we are on digitax.tech.
Okay.
And from there, we have access. All our details are there, including our social media accounts. You can chat with us directly from the website.
Okay.
Our team would be more than willing to answer your queries. And for those who are Digitax customers, everything from a hotline to customer support, all that is available. But digitax.tech will give you
everything that you need.
Yes, everything that you need to know.
All tech. There's you'll find us in a physical office. We'll find you online.
Oh, we do have an office. We're not a briefcase entity. But given our product is digital, most people interact with us through the website.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much once again for joining us.
Much appreciated.
We shall also find you in September where?
Yes. So next month, there's a East Africa Tax Symposium. Yes. I needed to pronounce that right. We'll be there talking all about tax and technology. It'll be an opportunity to also meet the team, engage with us, interact with us.
Yeah.
We are more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So yes, Karibuni, we hope to see you there.
Right.
And we're also really looking forward to it. Yes.
We will be there.
All right.
No matter what.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
And thank you so much for joining us this episode of Credible Perspectives. And like you've heard, we will be at the East Africa Tax Summit the end of September from 24th to 26th. And you're welcome. We'll see you next time in the next episode of Credible Perspectives.